I think it's time that I address this. Squadron 7, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the latest rumor circulating cosmic book news and their sources for that rumor. So the rumor states that Disney is getting ready to erase the sequel trilogy, and the article in which this is described is citing a YouTube channel. For the love of God, stop citing YouTube channels as your source for industry news and industry insider information. While there will be special cases where some YouTubers will get some inside information, you should not take this as truth till there is solid evidence and until there is official word from Lucasfilm or Disney on the matter. Now, the YouTube channel that the article cites is a YouTube channel that has historically made some ridiculous claims and has continued to push this narrative for quite some time now, capitalizing on the hate of Captain Marvel and Brie Larson, capitalizing on the hate of the sequel trilogy, basically capitalizing on people's knee-jerk reactions to a lot of things and doing a lot of clickbait videos and perpetuating this sort of narrative around how things aren't working at Disney and things aren't working out at Marvel and things aren't working out at Lucasfilm. And what frustrates me about this article is that it's being perpetuated by a lot of big name YouTubers who I will not mention, but if you're one of these YouTubers, you know who you are perpetuating hate, you are thriving on negativity, and yes, you're taking advantage of clickbait material. Just to get it out of the way, my opinion on the matter, it's perfectly okay to not like the sequel trilogies. It's perfectly okay to not like any movie that you don't like. But to force that opinion on others and to perpetuate a narrative that seemingly erases people's other opinions is stupid. And while I have my criticisms of the sequel trilogies, I largely enjoy them from a story perspective. They've opened up the Star Wars universe to a lot of concepts and ideas that were made popular in the EU and the Legends universe. With Season 7 of Clone Wars, with Star Wars Rebels, and with the sequel trilogy, the Star Wars universe has opened up the opportunity to learn so much more deep lore, and world building is incredibly rich. And if you're going to focus on the things that you hate, instead of trying to pursue the knowledge of understanding the universe and focusing on concepts that you enjoy about Star Wars, you're going to be less happy. And such is the goal of my channel on YouTube, such is the goal of my channel on TikTok. I'm not trying to convince people to like something they don't like. But if I can make them understand the universe, if I can make them understand the story, that's all that matters. So with all that said, I know I've spent a lot of time on this preface. So the article goes on to cite that a YouTube channel has some inside information about how there's a civil war in Lucasfilm where Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau are at odds with each other, and this is completely ridiculous. First of all, these YouTube channels should not make it an effort to speak on the behalf of these people. They should not be speaking on the behalf of Kathleen Kennedy or speaking on the behalf of Jon Favreau. If we watch Star Wars Gallery, which is the making of Mandalorian, we can see that Jon Favreau is very appreciative of Kathleen Kennedy with her connections in the industry and allowing him to pursue the Mandalorian in ways that they had not done so before in terms of TV shows. But the article, by way of the YouTube channel, also says that the Star Wars universe is all but dead. Are you kidding me? Under Disney, we finally had the means for a 7th season of Clone Wars. Under Disney, we have the Mandalorian show. Under Disney, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi coming. Under Disney, we may see an Ahsoka TV spinoff. And as much as you hate the sequel trilogy, they made Lucasfilm almost $5 billion in the box office worldwide, and they have spurred on a new generation of Star Wars fans that look up to Rey, look up to Kylo Ren, look up to these new characters that they've introduced in the sequels. And it would be completely ridiculous of them to, first of all, be so impetuous and petty that they would erase this trilogy, but go so far as to create lore-breaking concepts to do so. Aside from box office numbers, you also have merchandising sales and profits to look forward to. I mean, you've got Rey figures, you've got Kylo Ren figures, you've got Baby Yoda plushies that are just like selling out everywhere. And there's absolutely no way that a studio is so petty as this YouTube channel is, that they would erase an entire trilogy from Star Wars canon just to appease these guys of their hatred. We have so many new fans in the Star Wars universe that's thanks to the sequel trilogy. And I'd be lying if I said, oh no, I just want our Star Wars fandom to just remain prequels and originals. Anyone who likes the sequels isn't a true fan. That's stupid. Sorry for getting heated on this subject, but if you enjoy Star Wars, you're a Star Wars fan. Anyone can be a Star Wars fan if you enjoy it. These YouTube channels and these people who are perpetuating this hatred, they are doing more harm to the Star Wars universe than the sequel trilogies ever had the potential to do. All right, another tangent out of the way. I know I'm going off on some major tangents because this is getting me heated, but the YouTube channel also goes on to describe the plan of creating a multiverse by way of the world between worlds and describing it as the Veil of the Force, and that Palpatine had access to this Veil of the Force through the mirrors in his throne room, and he had access to this place, and it allowed him to create new timelines and non-existent timelines in the sequel trilogy, rendering the sequel trilogy non-existent or not canon and in this isolated silo in a Legends universe type of box. First of all, that is completely lore inaccurate. 100%. Second of all, doing all of this would be a complete slap in the face for Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, rest in peace, and Harrison Ford. It would be a complete slap in the face for the actors and the crew that worked on the sequel trilogy, and it would be a complete slap in the face for all of the new fans who look up to Rey and who look up to all of the new characters in the sequel trilogy. Simply put, Disney and Lucasfilm aren't as petty and impetuous as this. So let's break down the world between worlds. As I described in my TikTok videos, the world between worlds, or as it's called in Luke's Jedi scriptures, the Virgin Scatter or Nether of Unbeing, is not the Veil of the Force. It only connects catalytic events in the living force by way of the cosmic force. Palpatine never had free access to this realm because this realm is a nexus of the light side. This is why we see Mirai flying around in there. This is why in the episode that the YouTube channel cites as his evidence, Ezra and Ahsoka are traveling through there, and Palpatine tries to gain access by way of them. And tries to capture them, but he fails. The gateway to this world was collapsed on Lothal.
Everything will be lost!
There's no other known gateways to this world, and if Palpatine had access to this world, he wouldn't need the Empire excavating Lothal for this entrance. Also, if he had access to this world, he would also be very godly. He would be able to seek out and destroy all of his enemies in one fell swoop. He wouldn't need Luke Skywalker to come to him. He wouldn't need Snoke as a puppet to bring the girl to him. He could go into this world, essentially, as he's describing this veil, and take Luke from the timeline and use him for his purposes. He could take Rey from the timeline and groom her to be his heir. But none of that happens because he doesn't have access to this world, because it is, again, a nexus for the light side, and you'd have to die or be a paragon of the light.
Yeah, whenever Ahsoka was around. You were always close by. How did you get here?
To access this world between worlds. And the only other people, or the only other sentient beings that can access this world in canon, are Loth Wolves, and that's how Caleb Doom or Kanan Jarrus's identity passed on to a Loth Wolf named Doom.
The wolves are the portal guardians.
Okay, what about the owl?
A servant of the daughter, or possibly the daughter herself.
Palpatine having access to this world between worlds is completely lore inaccurate, and it would make his story or narrative in the prequels and the original trilogies completely null and void, not just the sequel trilogy. Another thing that this YouTuber describes is that Palpatine uses this Veil of the Force as a way to avoid his death in the original trilogy in Return of the Jedi. This is 100% lore inaccurate and false. You can read in the Rise of Skywalker novelization that Palpatine simply employed an ancient Sith technique called division of consciousness. It's been used by Vitiate, it's been used by Nihilus, it's been used by Bane, it's been used by all sorts of ancient Sith lords in Legends history, where they would divide their consciousness into a new host body, or they would divide their consciousness onto an object and tether it to their object. And so Nihilus is obviously tethered to his mask and his armor, and Bane is tethered to his tomb. That's why Yoda sees the spirit of Darth Bane on his tomb on Moraband. This is how Sith survived historically. This was the Sith's perversion of immortality. And so in the novelization, it describes that on his way down, he had plunged his consciousness into a Strandcast that his Sith Eternal had been working on ever since he had put in place a contingency plan, because he knew eventually that he would be betrayed. So that already explains how Palpatine survived, and it had nothing to do with the Veil of the Force. It's just perpetuating something that is completely ridiculous and completely lore inaccurate and lore breaking. It doesn't jibe well with George Lucas's description of the Force. It doesn't jibe well with the precedents of lore set up for the world between worlds. Palpatine doesn't have free reign or free access to this world. And if he did, things would be so much more different in the original trilogy as well. It's not just the sequels that would be affected. So we have to take these articles with a grain of salt, especially something as big as erasing a sequel trilogy from canon. You have to look at the sources. You have to see, hey, is this the chairman of Disney, or is this Kathleen Kennedy, or is this anyone with power in Disney or Lucasfilm making an official press release or making an official announcement or statement? No, it's not. It's kind of like that article that was passed off as news, that satire article about the trilogy being a dream sequence. These articles really, really need to do their due diligence, because it's completely wrong to perpetuate these ideas. It's completely wrong to perpetuate such pettiness and such hatred and negativity in the Star Wars fandom. You can tell this guy is obviously capitalizing on negativity, and you can tell he's being completely petty. Because in this article, I'm going to read from the article, he says, no Disney sequel trilogy. Han doesn't walk stupidly into a lightsaber. Leia doesn't fly like Mary Poppins through space. Luke has nothing to run away from and consumes no green milk. And I informed that there will be no amazing Wonder Ray, as she was born after the Emperor's death. This will retcon the sequel trilogy out of our misery and restore freedom to George Lucas's galaxy. So this video is a complete clout chase. He is salty. He has no interest in understanding the Star Wars universe as it has been laid out in front of him. He hates the sequel trilogy with a passion, and there is no sense of open-mindedness. Describing Leia as Mary Poppins, describing Han as walking stupidly into a lightsaber even though he was approaching and reaching out to his son. It's mind-boggling to think that there are some people who see these events and attribute such minimalization to it. Again, if this happened, it would be a slap in the face to all of the cast and crew that worked on the sequel trilogy, including Carrie Fisher. And you cannot be so petty and so impetuous that you would push this narrative. I feel like I'm repeating myself now, but in any case, yeah, guys, this isn't true. It's not happening until Disney and Lucasfilm confirm it themselves, until someone from Lucasfilm and Disney completely say, yes, this rumor is official. This is our official press release. This is what's happening. Anyways, that's my take on the matter. I don't think this is going to happen. There is little to no lore accurate reason as to why this could happen. Palpatine having access to the world between worlds willy-nilly just changes everything, even before the original trilogy, because Rebels takes place before and then concurrent and then after the original trilogy. So doing this explanation with the world between worlds breaks the original trilogy entirely as well. But aside from that, there is absolutely zero monetary and financial incentive for Disney and Lucasfilm to completely erase the sequel trilogy and completely slap people in the face who are fans, new fans of Star Wars, people who have never been fans of Star Wars and got brought into the universe via the sequel trilogy. It would be stupid to do so. From a business perspective, it would be stupid to do so. And if you see articles like this, check the sources. If it's citing this YouTube channel in particular, or if it's citing a YouTuber in particular, don't listen to it. If it's citing my channel, don't listen to it. And they would never do that, because I would never deliver breaking news, or I would never deliver inside information in this manner. So yeah, that's my take. I know this is a long ass rant video, and if you're still watching, I appreciate you trying to, or bearing with me and listening to my rant, my long ass wall of text in voice form. But I had to address this elephant in the room. I had to address all of these rumors that are coming out about the sequel trilogy, because a lot of people like this sequel trilogy. As much as there are people who hate this trilogy, there are people who love it, there are people who are fans of it, and there are people who are fans of only it. And then there are people who are fans of just the prequels, and then fans of just the original trilogies. We should just let all these people have their opinions and like what they like, because at the end of the day, you'll be more happy if you focus more on what you enjoy instead of nitpicking less of what you don't. But in any case, thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Also find me on TikTok if you want to have your questions about Star Wars universe or lore answered. Find me on TikTok at _element7_. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you always.